So after coming back to Elden Ring with the drop of the DLC and playing countless hours of the PvP, I came to the realization that 99% of my fights are against legit only faith users. I guess it kinda makes sense since the intelligent magic users are more so better at PvE and doing all the bossing and whatnot, and it's just severely lacking in 1v1 capabilities. So no wonder that would make it so nobody would want to actually use it in the Colosseum. But that just made me think, are the new spells just that bad that no one ever wants to even try using them in PvP? Or are people really that against magic because it's just not meant for 1v1s? Well, that's what we're going to be doing today to find out if any of the new spells of the magic build is actually viable in PvP 1v1 fights. But before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my future Elden Ring videos as I upload every other day. And be sure to like the video so I know that you guys are enjoying my content and to help out the algorithm. So, starting off, if you're curious, here is my build. I'm running a Rune level 200 character with a primary 60 intelligence for the magic damage, and then 28 faith, as a couple of these spells actually need a tad bit of faith to be able to use. I have on the Starline Sword as my primary weapon, which I will go over the reasons for that later in the video, why I chose this weapon and why it works so well with this build. On to the talismans. If you see my first and last talisman, I have on the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia and then the Alexander Shard. These are specifically for my weapon as it hits fast and a lot with its Ash of War, so these are more so for keeping players at bay who try and rush you. And between those two is the Godfrey icon, which will pump up the damage we do with charged spell attacks, and then the Graven Mask Talisman, as it greatly increases the damage of sorcery spells. So these two are a must-have for this build. Now let's go over the 6 primary spells I was using for this build and my thoughts on each of them. Let's start off with the Glintstone Nails. These fire 6 weird projectiles that have a weird movement pattern to them and can throw off players' timing whenever they're trying to roll them. They have incredible range and go on for a long duration, but they kinda suck, to be honest. The damage on them are pretty okay, but nothing really amazing, and half the time if a player is just rolling or running to the side, by the time they catch up to them, their tracking just kinda shoots them straight into the ground, so I hardly got this off on anyone in the vid. They have their uses for like distraction purposes, but that's about it. Another spell that you see me use is the Rings of Spectral Light. These fire off a random period of light rings that have low damage but are pretty good tracking and are great at either stacking up damage with another spell or even catching someone at low HP. They usually don't turn the tides of a fight, but they definitely help with that extra chip damage when needed. And now time for the 4 big boy spells that I think are absolutely amazing. Starting off with the Gravitational Missile. This spell launches a purple ball that has 3 blast waves around it as it sits in the air, pulling enemies into them, doing low damage until the 3rd and final blast that hits like an absolute truck. Now I will say, you won't be using this move as its intended purposes most of the time. It's great for zoning people and keeping them away from you, for giving you time to either cast more spells or heal or even recover a little bit of FP. But the main use is actually as an instant nuke. When pointing this spell at the ground or a wall, as long as there is a surface to instantly connect with, it will blow up on contact, letting out a huge AoE and doing massive amount of damage. This is great for someone who is charging you, as you can aim this at the ground, and as they think you were just doing a normal spell, they will just ignore you, try and go in for the hit, and then they will take a giant purple explosion to the face, doing half their health. Another spell that is similar to the Gravitational Missile is the Fleeting Microcosm. This spell places essentially a pulsating black hole at a set location, where then it shoots out an AoE burst and then a second AoE burst, even bigger and hitting even harder. This spell is amazing for catching people trying to either cast something or heal, or even better, another way to zone a player. If you aim this at your feet as you're casting it, the black hole will actually appear next to you and will keep players at bay. If not, they'll be walking right into a deadly 1-2 that is surely to destroy the majority of their health bar. And for the last two spells are the Mass of Putrescence and the Vortex of Putrescence. The Mass shoots a large black load. I should rephrase that. It shoots a large girthy load at your opponent and on impact, it really doesn't seem like it just does anything, it just kind of disappears. And then the second later, a burst of blue fire shoots up at the location doing huge amounts of damage. Same with the Vortex, except it fires a ring around the player and then shoots inwards towards the caster with that same blue fire. I am genuinely surprised I never see any of these moves in PvP because all of them constantly catch players because no one really expects them, since obviously no one really uses them, so it really confuses people. And then of course for the Starline sword I'm using, it's a pretty decent katana that shines with its Ash of War specifically, which it does a super fast swing of attacks and a surprising long range and great damage and poise damage. Most players don't even know the dodge timing of this weapon and get caught in the full combo doing over 1,000 damage to them, or even at least just catching them through some of their panic rolls. I think this sword suits his build perfectly, as it is just a great way at keeping blood-hungry players off of you, and before they even realize they're in too deep, they're already dead. But overall, I think this build is absolutely amazing. I've been using faith builds for so long now, I kind of forgot how fun sorceries even are, and I think I'll be continuing this theme for a little bit, finding out other things that work especially well with the new DLC spells. But anyways, that's going to do it for me everyone. Let me know your thoughts on the magic build and specifically these new spells added with the DLC, and if you think they're even viable to use or if I just made them seem way better than they really are. I personally think that they're amazing for catching players off guard and a stronger build against most players. But I'm heading out now everyone, so enjoy the rest of these PvP clips I've got for you, and have a good one. Peace.